What is the relationship between healthy communities and business prosperity? Threefold Communications CEO Gordon Fowler and Health Education Council Executive Director Debbie Oto-Kent decided to create an experiment to find out. The Glue Factory. What is the Glue Factory? In our partnership with the American Leadership Forum, we find out next on Studio Sacramento.
At Five Star Bank, we create thoughtful solutions to help the Capital Region thrive, from economic development and education to public health and safety, issues that are vitally important to Sacramento's prosperity. We're proud to be part of the conversation and hope you'll join in.
Gordon, what is the Glue Factory?
So the Glue Factory is an incubator space for entrepreneurs in downtown Roseville. But unlike some of the other incubator spaces, we have a little twist with it. And that twist is that in exchange for coaching and mentoring and advocacy and advice around their businesses, growing them to be sustainable, we ask our entrepreneurs to give 10% of their time back to the community.
Debbie, so what was the inspiration for creating this Glue Factory?
Well, for the Health Education Council, we've long known that the majority of health happens outside of the doctor's office and really happens where people live, work, play, pray, shop, learn, and grow old. And as we, in our work, we focus on a community's health. We know that an economically vibrant community is also a healthy community. And really the genesis for this was really a conversation between Gordon and I around our work in Roseville and how that it aligned there. And many of the things, even though we do very different things, we both really cared deeply about communities' health, about civic engagement, and about economic development.
Yeah.
And
it's really interesting, though. The Health Education Council focuses on community health and disease management and trying to improve the general health, and health indicators affected by lifestyle and things like that. And to get involved in economic development from this standpoint really seems like a pioneering approach, very kind of out of the box.
yeah, I think in recent years we've really realized that if we're going to reduce and solve the major health problems that are facing us today, that we have to, we talk a lot about the social determinants of health, and it's not just about healthcare or health education, but it's working with other sectors. So between this intersection of economic development and health and jobs and health and education and health, and I think this is a collaboration that's very grounded in cross-sector collaboration and really looking at our work differently.
Yeah, I want to ask you about that, Gordon, because just even coming back, let alone the collaboration between you two, but just coming back to the whole name, the Glue Factory, that makes me think about a horse being taken out to the pasture and being shot, right?
Yes.
What are we talking about here?
Yeah, so as we were talking, it's really an interesting story. I kind of wanted people to think that originally because that's what you're thinking. They're like, wait, really? And so it's a name that catches on, right? It really sticks. And as Debbie and I were talking about this idea, we were really talking about ideas that stick. Right? Like this is a sticking place. And as we've developed this even further, not just for ideas, but also for relationships and for collaboration, like we wanted something to stick. So Glue Factory seemed like the perfect name to really put in context what we're doing at the Glue Factory.
Well, what is it exactly? I mean, you talk about it as a collaboration space, but what do you hope grows out of this space?
Yeah, so we're hoping for some amazing things to come out of this space. Number one, our collection of entrepreneurs that are working together, we're looking for them to have sustainable businesses. So we're working very hard with them so that their businesses will be sustainable. And we're doing it with a community focus because we believe that entrepreneurs that are invested in the community will stay in the community, right? It'll be a whole lot less tempting to go off to the Bay Area or over to New York if you are fully invested in your community. So we want entrepreneurs that are community-based, that are investing their time in their communities. So we're looking for that to come out of it.
And Debbie, that sounds really interesting because you're building this economic base. At the same time, this is a bit of a social space as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then you have this sort of civic engagement component.
Yes.
And that's a very holistic model.
Right. I mean, I think a big part of the Health Education Council's role is we want to work to really infuse health into the daily fabric of old downtown Roseville and bring activity. We're going to have walking groups. We want to engage the business community, bring the adjacent residents to the downtown area. You know, we'll be doing health education classes through the Glue Factory and in collaboration with other events going on in the downtown area. We know that bringing people, right, and getting folks walking, biking, that social interaction part of it is very health producing in itself.
Well, most people think of Roseville and the surrounding area as a very affluent community, where it is that they would have access to resources like the Glue Factory or something else like that already. What led you all to make the decision to put this in Roseville rather than in what most of us would tend to think of as a more recognizable low-income or underserved communities? Because that's really where the Health Education Council has done a lot of its work.
Yes, that's correct. Placer County is, you know, if you look at the county health index, they have pretty consistently ranked second in the state, next to Marin County, right? And yet,
in good health indicators.
In terms of high health status, and yet in Placer County there are pockets of underserved communities, and that's really where a lot of our work was focused. And in this old downtown Roseville area, there are pockets of you know, low-income families. We've done food assessments. There are not close grocery stores that have fresh produce, the walkability of the neighborhood, and so we do. You know, our work has really taken us to this neighborhood. That's one of the reasons why we, you know, Gordon and I started talking about this. And the other thing I think that Gordon and I have talked about is that we also had the opportunity.
Yeah.
To really test and pilot kind of this idea and this model in Old Roseville.
You know, one of the words that comes to mind for this collaboration is a bit of a mashup, because healthcare and marketing communications, nonprofit, for-profit, how's all that working for you guys?
Well, and just to even add another layer to it as well, the City of Roseville and their Economic Development Corporation, RCDC, are in on this together as well. And then we have other businesses and merchants that are along the 3 blocks in downtown Roseville on Vernon Street that we're looking at. So we're bringing in, mashup is such a great word for it. Many times, you know, we refer to it as collisions, right? That there's just people colliding, and that's wonderful. I think so many times in this region we talk about getting out of our comfort zone and expanding into other areas, but this is all happening at the Glue Factory. And even I think if you look at the entrepreneurs that we have, very atypical entrepreneurs as compared.
How so?
Well, about 80% of them are what we would call second act entrepreneurs. They're entrepreneurs that are near retirement or retiring, that have full life experience and work experiences, and now they're looking for the opportunity to create a business out of their passion. You know, and you know, on this show we've talked before about the different generations, and you know, these are boomers that are getting ready to retire, and they are not feeling like they want to quit working.
You know, it's interesting. There was a recent movie that came out, The Intern, that talked about somebody coming back and sort of re-engaging, and you know, in this case, he was an entrepreneur. Okay, but is this sort of a phenomenon where it is that people are in their second acts and they're looking to do something a lot more creative and loose than, you know, just a traditional go back to work strategy?
Right. I mean, I think demographically, right, we've been talking about the silver tsunami for a while, and this whole influx of second act entrepreneurs, actually, we had not fully anticipated that. No. And so that's really kind of been an emerging, something that has emerged over the course of inviting applications, if you will, for entrepreneurs to become part of this. And we're really excited about that. We're excited about the possibilities. We're excited about the wisdom that this group of folks bring to their passion to start something new and to create something new.
Was it difficult to get your organization on board with this idea, because it's so out of the box for a nonprofit to do something like this? It's very novel. And I'm just wondering, you know, it's not the typical thing that you would associate, not just because you're the Health Education Council, but just as a nonprofit itself.
Right. It is a little out of the box. It took a bit of convincing of my board. You know, I said, look, we're going to try this out. And after a lot of deliberation, they said, we think we should go with it. It would seem like there are a lot of things that separate, you know, a nonprofit with a for-profit small business, but there are a lot of things that align us. I mean, I started the Health Education Council 25 years ago, which is really creating a small business. Gordon started Threefold Communications, 15 years ago, and you know, we sort of align many ways along economic development. Different topics, different themes, right? Different purpose and mission, but that very much aligned us.
And I think at the outset as well, like I started Threefold because I was passionate about bringing good marketing services to this region. And Debbie started the Health Education Council because she was passionate about bringing awareness for the issues that she deals with in health, right? And now we're meeting with all these entrepreneurs who are passionate about something. So this underlying passion just runs through the whole place. Like,
tell us about some of these entrepreneurs.
Yeah, there's some great entrepreneurs. We have, there are a couple of tech entrepreneurs that are building apps and, you know, sort of tech things. We have one entrepreneur who is an engineer. He and his wife are both engineers and both looking to retire in the very near future. And they build custom bicycle wheels. And
custom
right. So we were doing the interviews because we had more people apply than can fit, which is a good problem to have.
That's what we call a champagne problem.
Yeah, it is. And you know, I'm a business guy, so I can be pretty hardcore about stuff that needs to happen. But these entrepreneurs would come in, they were a perfect example. To have somebody bring in a bike wheel, it's a bike wheel, and to start talking about how this wheel was different because of this engineering feat that he was doing and bringing it together and I was completely blown away. Like, it's a bicycle wheel. But yet, when he got done with it, I was like, I'll take a couple, absolutely. I don't even ride a bike, right? But he was so passionate about that. And that's what's so cool about this space. We have a couple people that are interested in nonprofit work. And so it's great because Debbie's there. She'll be able to help coach and mentor them as they...
So it really is a cross-pollination, even amongst the entrepreneurs.
It is, 100%. And I think that's an expectation that they are going to learn a lot, you know, from each other. The other thing as part of this rather informal interview process is we really palpably felt this, people talk about their community, and most of them are from that area, either born and raised and grew up, still live adjacent, or want to move back. And just the way they talked about Roseville and wanting to invest in that community, you know, we could really, we sensed that community aspect. There was a close alignment with the community service aspect part of our incubator model.
Well, tell us a little bit more about the community service aspect. In return for a discounted rent and being able to use
free
the facility.
Rent. Everything's free.
Free.
Yeah.
But there is a give back component. Tell us more about that.
So folks will be invoiced every month and will be expected to devote that amount of hours and time to community service. We're hoping to draw some of those, or a majority of those community services hours into the things that we're doing to promote health in this area, right? And in the downtown area. There are a few entrepreneurs, though, that really came in with very passionate, you know, social causes that they believe in on their own, and we certainly don't want to discourage that either.
It's interesting, that connection, and building that connection right into the very structure of the organization. It sounds very unique.
I think it is unique, and part of it comes out of certainly what I've seen as I've sort of worked across the country and dealt with a lot of entrepreneurs, is that there's really a narcissism that you need in order to be successful as an entrepreneur. But the problem with that is that I don't think that necessarily leads, a narcissistic entrepreneur doesn't necessarily lead to being a good neighbor or a good friend or a good business partner. And so we wanted to create a counterculture entrepreneur, one that was very focused on the product, the program, or the service that they were going to deliver, but more importantly, that also cared about their community. And so we built it in. They are invoiced for their time, for up to 10% of their time, and then they work those hours off in exchange for being a member in the glue factory. And the amazing thing is that they're all very excited to do it.
Well, interesting. Let me give you a counterpoint to that.
Yeah.
Is it that I agree with you on the narcissism standpoint, because you have to believe that your mousetrap is or your wheel is better.
Right. At
the same time, though, for many entrepreneurs, because they're so focused and so busy, and they have to be so self-involved, is it maybe that up until this creation that you all have birthed, that there wasn't necessarily a container or an outlet for focusing that community involvement?
I think that could have been part of it. I think, though, that the culture that we're getting from sort of the business schools and from many models that are popping up is that we are being trained in this country, and I think in this region as well, that we have to be narcissistic in order to be successful as an entrepreneur. And I think that that's just the expectation. Like, I'm a better entrepreneur if I'm more focused just on me and on the product that I'm delivering.
More selfish.
Yeah. Yeah, and I contend that there's a better and a different way to do that. I know Threefold is very community focused, and we've been successful.
Actually, tell us a little bit about your structure in terms of community service with your employees.
Yeah, so we require 10% of our time. It's a line item that we track in our budget for every one of our employees to give back to the community. Everybody on Threefold staff is a member of a nonprofit board or serves on an advisory committee. And once a quarter, we do something for the community. We'll, raise diapers to give to a food bank, or food or dog food for the SPCA, whatever project the team wants to work on. And what we found is that, being new in town and just starting up when the recession hit, the community actually came to us and said, we really want to be a part and want to make sure that you're around, and the community rallied with us.
Debbie, so what have you learned so far through this experience?
So I would say we are learning, and we are building the bridge as we're walking on it, as we say. And what has been exciting is that the group of entrepreneurs we've been interviewing, we have kind of created this bond because we are really trying out the glue factory as well. We're sort of a startup and
entrepreneurs birthing entrepreneurs.
Yes, it is. And so there's this real kind of support and synergy that's happened already, which has been very exciting. And I think I've learned that we talk about cross-sector collaboration, getting out of our silos, and I think in a lot of specific sectors, when the public health folks get together, we talk about we have to get out of our silos, right? How do we do more silo busting? And what I've learned is that takes time and intention to do, right? It takes time for me to really understand what is Gordon's motivation. Why would the Roswell Economic Development Corporation want to collaborate with us? How do I better understand that? How do I learn their language? How do we create this shared understanding of what we're trying to achieve?
Let me ask you one question about this. Many people in the nonprofit community have a suspicion that for-profit people, all they're ever motivated by is the pursuit of money, pursuit of profit. Were there any implied assumptions that you and the folks that you work with on the council sort of had tested or were blown up because of the fact that you're not only working with Gordon, who is a for-profit, but you're fostering the growth of a number of for-profits. And was there any learning in that?
Well, the learning for me is like, I think what we see with for-profits, right, is that there is this divide, and often their community service is an afterthought. We'll donate money, select certain afterwards. And I see that what we're trying to create here is this integration of for-profit small businesses who can also have essential to their foundation a community service and a community sort of spirited and a dedication of resources to the community at the same time as they're launching their businesses, which is a little bit different.
Yeah. Not for you, though.
No, I love it. I mean, I was just thinking when Debbie was saying that, like, okay, I promise not to show up with my, branded, Glue Factory branded Lamborghini at her next board meeting, showing that this was sort of the pursuit of what profit is all about. But we always talk about a give first rather than, a giving back. Like, I always tell my team, giving back is very 1970s. Like, we want to be able to give first. And it's just exciting to be able to work with other businesses that are coming up and through, and being able to help instill that give first attitude as well, because I think it just makes for a better company for them, and it'll make for a better community overall. I think as well, like, Debbie runs a nonprofit, but it's a very well-run nonprofit. And so we've been able to do a lot of learning as well. I'm in the creative field, so I have a tendency to look at things much more creatively. Debbie is used to following requirements of grants. So for us, working together, interpreting a lease document is really interesting, because I'm like, well, we'll say that.
So,
right?
so in essence, you actually can learn a new trick, then.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So what has surprised you most about the entrepreneurs that you've encountered so far that have come in? I know your response has been off the charts, but what's been surprising about these people?
I think the number one thing, and we've been talking about this, is that every single one that has come to us has reached a level where they cannot see how to move their business forward. Every single one is at that point. And the discussions that we have had have been really around their vulnerability rather than their strength.
Interesting.
It's such the antithesis of, being in an incubator program. But every single one, every conversation has come down to what their vulnerabilities are. And that's where real work can happen.
Is there any commonality on those vulnerabilities?
No, it is as diverse as the businesses themselves. But when they talk about their vulnerabilities, and for some it took a while to get to there because you're coming in pitching yourself and your business, but when we were able to really get to it, and a lot of it is credit to Debbie, who knows how to really drill down to that, and then they really talk about their vulnerabilities, it's a game changer, because now we're already at the core, and this is before they've even set up their workspace. This is at the initial interview process to be able to come in.
Well, it's interesting, Debbie, about your participation in this initiative is healthcare tends to look at things from an ecosystem perspective. And in your participation in co-birthing of this initiative, that part of the discipline that an organization like yours would bring to the table potentially, I'm going out on a limb here, is looking at things from a more holistic standpoint with regards to business creation and business growth. Anything to that? What's your reaction?
I would agree with that, and I think queuing off of what Gordon said, like, we have very, very different styles of working, and a very, very different approaches to the work.
Can I just add something there? I mean, we were talking very clearly about my work is, it's marketing and PR, right? So we're all about the, splashing it out as we're getting started, as we're getting something started. Debbie's work is about reporting on the results or the outcomes afterwards. So just think about that even in terms of our approach to the project. I'm all about, let's get the word out, let's get people in, let's talk about it, this is amazing, look at the connection. And she's like, but we don't have any outcomes yet.
And
you guys
we have to talk about impact. Like, we get
you guys sound almost like a Reese's peanut butter cup commercial,
And another example is we had an attorney drop our understanding, threefold Health Education Council, of how we're going to work together. And Gordon's like, why do we have to do that? We've been friends, we've known each other. And I said, well, what if we disagree? Like, how are we going to? He says, well, I have the answer to that. I'm always right, and you'll follow what I say. And so,
like, who needs an MOU for that, right?
Yeah. Now, did you two first meet through the American Leadership Forum? Was that?
We had actually done some work before, and this is one of my early understandings of cross-sector collaboration and just how we need to deepen our understanding. We hired Gordon's firm to rebrand the Health Education Council.
Many years ago.
And that was a number of years ago, and I and my staff thought branding was what you do to cows. And so we had to relearn the communications language. So we had met through that process, but our American Leadership Forum class, we were in the same class, and that certainly deepened our relationship and our understanding of our work.
So, very quickly, what's next for the glue factory?
We've been asked by 3 other cities that are interested in doing a glue factory model there as well. I think immediate next steps are we need to make sure that it works and make sure that our theory, as we talked about, is on track. And then after that, we're open to seeing where this can be beneficial in whatever kind of neighborhood or community would need it.
That's exciting.
Very exciting. Thank you.
Thank you both.
Yeah.
And that's our show. Thanks to our guests and thanks to you for watching Studio Sacramento. I'm Scott Syphax. See you next time right here on KVIE.
At Five Star Bank, we create thoughtful solutions to help the Capital Region thrive, from economic development and education to public health and safety, issues that are vitally important to Sacramento's prosperity. We're proud to be part of the conversation and hope you'll join in.
All episodes of Studio Sacramento, along with other KVIE programs, are available to watch online at kvie.org/video.